There are women who follow fashion, and there are women who invent it. Diane Keaton was the second kind. She walked red carpets in suits when every other actress wore gowns. She put on a bowler hat and leather gloves with a turtleneck when everyone else was trying to show more skin. She layered and mixed and broke every rule the fashion world tried to hand her, and somehow the result wasn't chaos. It was art. What makes her approach so worth studying now, even after her passing last year, is that everything she did that looked like a mistake was actually a decision. And those decisions contain some of the most useful style wisdom any woman over 60 could ever learn. Today, I'm breaking down what Diane Keaton's so-called mistakes actually teach us about getting dressed with confidence at any age. And honestly, the last lesson on this list is the one that moved me the most, because it reframes everything we've been told about what women over 50 are supposed to look like. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Parker Holloway, and today we are honoring one of the most original style minds the world has ever seen, Diane Keaton, and the brilliant lessons for fashion choices left behind for all of us. This one feels really special to me, so let's get into it. Number 1, dress through your insecurities. Don't hide from them. So this is the thing about Diane Keaton that I think most people don't realize. She didn't dress in suits and turtlenecks and long sleeves because she had supreme confidence about her body. She did it because she had insecurities, just like the rest of us. And she found a way to work with them instead of against them. She openly talked about not liking her knees, about feeling self-conscious about her arms, about having a complicated relationship with her hair. And rather than letting those feelings paralyze her or push her towards safe, invisible clothing, she used them as creative fuel. She found that suits made her feel comfortable because the long pants and sleeves gave her coverage without sacrificing style. She discovered that hats made her feel complete because they solved the hair question and added personality all at once. And this is where most of us get stuck, right? We have insecurities about our bodies as we age, and our instinct is to retreat, to wear things that don't draw attention, to basically try to disappear. Diane did the opposite. She drew attention to herself on her own terms. She covered what she wanted to cover, but she made that coverage look so intentional and so striking that people couldn't look away. And I think that's such a powerful reframe for anyone who's been dressing to hide rather than dressing to express. Your insecurities don't have to dictate your style. They can actually help you find it. And wait until you hear number 5, because it takes this exact idea and turns it into something even more beautiful. Number 2, neutrals are never boring when you understand texture. Now, if you looked at Diane Keaton's wardrobe on paper, it might sound plain. Black, white, gray, cream, tan, the occasional red. She stayed within a fairly narrow color palette for most of her life, and yet nobody would ever call her style boring because she understood something that most of us miss entirely. It's not the color that makes an outfit interesting. It's the texture and the layering and the proportion. Diane would take a simple black turtleneck and pair it with a tweed blazer and wide-leg wool trousers and a leather belt, and suddenly you have 4 or 5 different textures all working together in the same neutral family. And it creates this incredibly rich visual experience without a single bright color involved. And this is so liberating for women who feel pressured to wear more color as they get older. You don't have to. If neutrals are where you feel most like yourself, then stay there. But learn from Diane and give those neutrals dimension. Mix a cashmere with a structured cotton. Pair something matte with something that has a bit of sheen. Add a silk scarf to a wool coat. The variety comes from the surfaces, not the shades. And that's honestly one of the most practical style lessons I've ever come across. I think once you start seeing texture as your color palette, everything changes. Number 3, accessories are not finishing touches. They are the whole point. And this is one of the things I loved most about studying Diane's style. For most of us, accessories are the last thing we think about. We get dressed, and then we maybe grab a necklace or a bag on the way out the door. Diane treated accessories as the foundation of the outfit, not the afterthought. Her hats, her gloves, her belts, her long strands of pearls, her oversized glasses, these weren't additions, they were the architecture. Take any of those elements away and the outfit isn't the same outfit anymore. She once said that a hat is the final touch to a great outfit, and I actually think for her it was more than that. A hat was how she showed up to the world, fully herself. And here's the practical takeaway for all of you. You probably already have accessories sitting in drawers and jewelry boxes right now that could completely transform even your most basic outfits if you just gave them a more prominent role. The belt that creates shape even under layers, the glasses that frame your face and add personality, the scarf that pulls 3 neutral pieces into one cohesive story. Diane showed us that accessories aren't decoration, they're punctuation. They tell people where to look and how to read the whole sentence. Now, everything I've shared so far, these are principles you could pick up from looking at photos of Diane over the years. But lessons 4 and 5 go deeper. These are the ones that have to do with how she thought about getting dressed. And honestly, these are the 2 that changed the way I think about my own relationship with clothes. Number 4. Wear what makes you feel like yourself, even if nobody else is doing it. So here's something that's easy to forget about Diane Keaton. When she first started wearing menswear-inspired clothing in the 1970s, it was genuinely unusual. Women were not wearing suits and ties and bowler hats to Hollywood events. It wasn't on trend. It wasn't what stylists were recommending. It was just her. Ralph Lauren himself once said that Annie Hall's style was really Diane's own style, that she loved floppy hats and oversized men's jackets, and he wasn't the one who dressed her for that role, she dressed herself. And that's the part that matters. She didn't wait for permission from the fashion industry to dress the way she wanted to dress. She didn't wait for menswear for women to become a trend. She just wore what made her feel like herself. And eventually, the entire world caught up. And I think for those of us over 50 and 60, there's an enormous lesson in that. We spend so much energy trying to figure out what we're supposed to wear at this age, what's appropriate, what's age appropriate, what will people think. Diane never asked those questions. She asked one question and one question only. Does this feel like me? And if you can get to that place where your only criteria for getting dressed is whether or not the outfit feels authentically you, honestly, I think that's when your personal style truly begins. And if you're someone who has been playing it safe because you're worried about what other people might think, I'd gently encourage you to remember that the most celebrated style icon of her generation was a woman who wore a full suit and bowler hat to the Oscars. Permission granted. Number 5, getting dressed is how you tell yourself you're still here. And I want to slow down for this one because it's the reason I wanted to make this video. Diane Keaton passed away in October of last year at 79. And what strikes me most when I look back at her life is not any single outfit or any particular red carpet moment. It's the consistency. For over 50 years, she kept showing up as herself. She kept putting on the hat, the gloves, the layers, the pearls. She kept making each outfit feel like an act of creative expression. She didn't simplify as she aged. She didn't quiet down. She didn't start dressing for invisibility. In her 70s, she was walking Paris Fashion Week in Tom Brown. She was collaborating on an eyewear collection. She was still mixing textures and playing with proportion and looking at getting dressed as something joyful rather than something obligatory. And I think that's the deepest lesson she leaves behind. Because there comes a point for a lot of us where getting dressed starts to feel like a chore rather than an opportunity, where we stop seeing ourselves in the mirror and just see the years. Diane never did that. Or if she did, she got dressed anyway. She put on the outfit that said, I am still here. I still have something to say, and I am going to say it in a bowler hat and a pair of gloves because that's who I am. And that is not vanity. That is self-respect. It's the quiet daily act of telling yourself that you are worth the effort, that your identity didn't expire at some arbitrary age, and that every morning when you open your wardrobe, you have a chance to show the world exactly who you are. Diane understood that better than anyone, and what a gift she left us in showing us how it's done. That woman who made an entire room turn, not because she was wearing what everyone expected, but because she was wearing something only she would choose. She wasn't breaking the rules, she was writing new ones. And the ones she wrote are still there, waiting for you. The question is, what will you put on tomorrow morning that feels so completely like you that you don't need anyone's permission to wear it? Now, if you loved what Diane Keaton taught us about dressing with originality and courage, I think you are going to really enjoy next week's video, because we're looking at another woman who takes that same spirit of doing things her own way and applies it to color in the most unexpected and beautiful way. All right, everyone, that is all I have for what Diane Keaton's style taught every woman over 60. I hope you found this video helpful and maybe even a little inspiring. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I would love to hear from you in the comments. What is the one piece in your wardrobe that feels the most like you? The thing you reach for when you want to feel like the truest version of yourself? I'd really love to know. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, #placeholder. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.